Dear body, please forgive me. Signed, the one listening now. I forgive myself. I forgave myself. I really haven't forgiven myself. I haven't forgiven myself for the person I couldn't be. I don't want to forgive myself. I wish I could forgive myself. It would be nice to forgive myself. My body would like forgiveness now for what it couldn't be, for what it couldn't maintain much past that anorexic year in 7th grade, zero body fat, pre-pubescent boy figure, the gymnast my peers thought me to be. My best friend, the gymnast, who God forgive me, was jealous of the flat abs I starved myself to have, whose green-eyed remarks pushed me further into my bones, hiding deeper into the skeleton of my new home, that her words could not hurt me if I shrank, desperately hoping my only friend wouldn't hate me for being skinnier than her. But she hated me anyways, in her controlling, fearful ways, her poison spilling out into words on my porcelain skin. If you must have the body my mom shamed me to have, you must stay quiet and afraid, she'd silently say, not too noticeable for others to see, making myself invisible, the oldest trick in my book. As we laughed and I tried to soothe her fear in my silence, hoping silence would be enough to quiet the noise of judgment around me. She was my only friend and I was afraid, so I took the poison and swallowed it whole, hoping friendship would be enough to make me feel whole. Decade plus of friendship, roller coaster ride of hot and cold feelings, me the target of her inadequacy. That me feeling inadequate was the winning prize in the game. I forgave her years ago, for our friendship built on subtle manipulation and jealousy, and a wordy letter, pages of pent-up feelings held too long inside, giving myself the voice I never had. She saw the harm she did, that I naively allowed. I have forgiven her, but I have not forgiven myself. I have not forgiven myself for agreeing to those voices echoing in my ears of middle school children that my smallness of size was somehow the laughing joke, or at least the pointing remark, for words to fly like darts into my severed heart. That yelling across the cafeteria if I was anorexic or something shrank me further into the story that this body was always wrong no matter the size, that the fewer Cheez-Its I ate, 10, always the number 10, sometimes somehow counting made me feel my power contained, gave me tangible form for impending storm inside me. Throw out half your mom-made sandwich in the school bathroom just so your peers would think you had eaten some. Never remove the food from your brown bag. Keep it hidden so no one could see the uneaten lunch inside. Gum chewing, always gum chewing, and hard candies to give my jaw something to salivate on. Not to further aggress on self into the brief week-long wrist-cutting stint. Me too embarrassed to remove my one hand from my wrist as my other hand dribbled a basketball at the middle school game. Me always the point guard, dribbling fast, hard, always into a corner. Running miles around the track, body running on air alone, fastest record mile to date, 5 minutes 53 seconds, broken just now a few years ago. I have not forgiven my mom for allowing her daughter, the anorexic, to work out at 5 a.m. cycling classes, spinning pedal after pedal just to see if she would notice my neuroses wasn't the problem, just that my emotions couldn't speak, weren't given a voice to call their own. I have not forgiven myself for crying when the high school skater boys walking behind me had to comment on the smallness and mere non-existence of the ass I didn't have, that my tears were somehow wrong in letting myself be hurt by words again. I have not forgiven myself for silencing my own voice time and time again, that the muteness in me would somehow dole out the voices coming at me, I the target of subtle bullying. I have not forgiven myself for swallowing all the words I couldn't say, all the feelings I couldn't speak. I have not forgiven myself for lies I swallowed whole. I have not forgiven myself for believing those lies that this body was wrong, that body was right, that body was loved, this body was not. To be the skinny blonde, the curvy in all the right places, but not too much body it starved itself to be. If only I could forgive the personal trainer for telling me my body was wrong, for telling me that body fat was a scale for which to tell a prepubescent girl at 17 that her anorexic turning human form was too much, that my fat was the problem when my skinny used to be, that this insulation keeping me warm and alive was in fact the culprit now. That skinny was too skinny, short was too short, small was too small, but big was always, always too big. I have not forgiven myself for the ideal feminine form my body never took. That square was a shape I couldn't fit into that perfectly round hole. I've not forgiven myself for agreeing to these vows, crucifying myself on the cross of self-rejection yet again for the wrongness of the body I found myself in. I've not forgiven myself for the first time I made myself sick, those innocent cookies, 1, 2, 5, 7 too many. The anorexic in me just wanted to see what all the hype was after all. That cookies could taste so forbidden to a brain starved of nourishment. They were peanut butter cookies, and I was 12. We had made them together, my friend and I, maybe lemonade too, but the brain gets foggy when you make yourself sick. I think I ate some Skittles too, coloring the rainbow with my pathetic attempts to reverse the process of digestion. My throat burned that day, and my mind was certain it wouldn't do that again. Not until at 17 when I stopped eating again, but the body learns quickly its will to survive stronger and smarter. I've not forgiven myself for starting that self-made diet, that food stuffed in napkins became the new norm, that my sister, the new anorexic, became the new form. I've not forgiven myself for the disgust I felt standing outside the bathroom door, vomiting sounds echoing against the walls, I the judge for the act she was committing inside. I've not forgiven myself for judging her when her anorexic body couldn't take the abuse. Too many miles ran, too much pressure put on, cellulite forming on thighs overwhelmed by sudden volume. That I was the silent judge bearing witness to this new invasion. I've not forgiven myself for those silent words of judgment now penetrating me now. 4 months of recovery. I am working on forgiving myself for the decade-long abuse of my in cycles of bulimic episodes, self-starvation, binging neurosis. Am working on forgiving myself for taking the same road I saw my sister take, that I, the judge, now became the judged. I have not forgiven myself for taking the vow still to carry that weight of self-abuse, lineage passed down from mom to daughter, further down the lineage of perfectionist. That my abuse to this body would somehow make up for all the years my body was the target of jealousy, make up for all the years that my body was the target of wrongness, make the outside world voices match my own, make the outside world more comfortable. That resonance was a song, a silent song sung into the bones, to match in harmony with the world around me. I am forgiving myself now for those years spent in counseling, outpatient treatment, hundreds, thousands of dollars my parents funded toward me. The Anna Get Well Fund, more like the Anna Stop Being Sick Fund. That money could never fix the hole inside. That money never had value to me. I am forgiving myself now for the anger I felt toward my mom, a participant and fellow observer in this disease. That bulimia runs on anxiety and depression, dad the depressed, mom the anxious. I am forgiving my parents now for the genes they couldn't see, for passing on karmic ties of fearful wiring, perfectionistic tendencies. My body wants to forgive me for the abuse. Hundreds of miles I ran on too tired limbs and sore feet, pounding pavement just to see the reflection in the mirror staring back at me, never with kindness, that the number on the scale would magically appear again and all would be well until tomorrow. My body wants to forgive me. I am pleading it to forgive me now. For years not listening, never asking, never hearing, always demanding it to be something it wasn't. something it tried so hard to be for me. It didn't want to let me down. I want to forgive myself for letting my body down, for not being the home it needed to safeguard the spirit inside. My body just wants to be free now, to love what it loves and to be. I want to let it be. I am forgiving myself now for not knowing what I am learning now. That years of body abuse and neglect would lead me here. That my legs, my feet, my limbs wait each day to be remembered. I, the master of the key. I forgive myself. I forgave myself. I am wanting to forgive myself now, for not honoring this holy temple, for allowing the temple of my being to be penetrated by men unaware of whose temple they were entering, that this temple had been desolate and set aside, desecrated time and time again, that further destruction and abuse had found a home in its womb. My temple is forgiving me now, for not honoring its wordless voice, always speaking to me the yeses and the nos, me not listening who stays and who goes. I am forgiving myself now, asking forgiveness now to the body, sacred keeper of my soul, that my body forgive me for what I didn't know then but am learning now. I am learning now, my body, my love, my soulmate, that hatred and love are not of the same voice, not of the same resonance of tone, that my words of hate speech alone cause harm to the life held deep inside, that my words are bullets or love letters to your cells swimming toward life or death, replication of the cells now to remind others that love is a 4-letter word, vibration to hold sound of truth again. I am listening now, I am seeing you now more clearly, more kindly each passing day. And sometimes I do not see what stands before me, and I'm sorry I do not see what stands before me, you the exact form my soul wanted to take. Please forgive me now, my body, and when I forget, I will try to remember the words I am retelling you now, that using my voice is the way to repattern your cells to feel love once more, that my voice is the one you hear each day. My body, my love, my soulmate, please forgive me now. Signed, the one listening now.